Hey, welcome to another episode of The Bitter Upper Lip. Once again, my name is Tyler. Thank you very much for joining me today. So for today's review, we're going to continue highlighting Piedmont Brewing and Kitchen out of Macon, Georgia, doing more to continue highlighting local beers, at least local beers for me. Today we're moving to a lager, of all things. We're going to be reviewing today the Frozen Warnings Dopplebock. This Dopplebock comes in at 9% ABV and its IBUs are registered at 21. So a little history with Dopplebock, because I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, it's a lager. Its origins seem to be traced back to early 1600s Germany, specifically German monks. German monks, much like many religious orders, would go through periods of fasting specifically for them, Lent and other religious observations, and never leave it to a religious practitioner to find a loophole in not being able to eat in this case. So what the monks did, as a lot of monks in Europe at that time figured, well, we're just going to drink beer. You know, worse ways to starve, right? But the Doppelbock was an improvement upon the already established bock style. So what they did with Doppelbocks is loaded it up with much heavier malt bill and turned it into liquid bread, like quite literally something they could drink and would sustain them calorically. And here today, there are plenty of other breweries out there that still make very traditional German-style Doppelbocks. You got Eininger, Polliner. Those are just a few that come to mind. And those breweries will make it in accordance to the German purity laws, which are called the Reinheitsgebot, which is a purity law that's been around since the 1500s, that essentially you can't make a beer with anything except water, hops, yeast, and malts. That's it. You can't add anything else into it. Now, this particular Doppelbock, I am not sure if they are following the Reinheitsgebot in this case, but I have not heard or seen anything belaying the fact that they've got any kind of adjuncts into it. I've not seen anything in terms of the hops they're using or what their malt bill is, but this is another beer from Piedmont that I just have not gotten around to trying, but I know they've had it for a while, so I'm assuming that if it's on steady rotation on their taps, then people must like it for a reason. So let's go ahead and get this into a glass. And we're going to be using traditional style German glassware today. This is a Weichstefan wheat beer glass, but you can use it for, I'd say, really any kind of lagers, pilsners, something to fit this entire 16-ounce can at least. Okay. So coming to the light, very clear. It almost looks like a really weak cola brown. Has a very beautiful mahogany type hue to it. It definitely looks like liquid toasted bread. Didn't really get much of a head out of it. You saw how I poured it. The bubbles in there are still pretty tight. They're dissipating rather quickly, though. Seeing good carbonation coming off the bottom, nucleation coming off the bottoms and sides of the glass. Looks very vibrant and fresh. Yeah, very pretty beer. So let's get a whiff on it. So yeah, I'm getting off the bat tons and tons and tons of sweet malt character, just to be expected out of it. Smelling like raisins, almost like a caramelized apple type smell too. Like if I had like an apple turnover, something like that. It's a little bit of almost a chocolatey character to it, but not something you would get off like a porter or a stout. It doesn't smell like a deep baker's chocolate or something. It almost smells like a milk chocolate almost, if you will. Not really getting any kind of hop presence on the smell. There might be a subtle kind of spicy note in there, but it definitely doesn't smell like it's hop in character. So a little bit of some toffee and caramel, and probably playing off the toasted malts coming out of this. Yeah, big thing I got right off the bat though was definitely it smelled like raisins and like a caramelized fruit was what I was getting. Yeah, it smells very inviting. So let's get some lips on it. Cheers. Damn. Just about have to chew that thing. So the fact that it's a lager is cloying to just how big that mouthfeel is into it. I feel like that's the first thing I've got to talk about is the mouthfeel, not the flavor. The mouthfeel is great. It doesn't feel big and heavy like a super, like an imperial stout or like a milk stout or anything. It's got again, just a very nice heavy weight in your mouth. Yeah, it washes over your entire tongue. I literally feel it going down my throat. It's that just colossus malt bill working out there. I'm talking about the flavor now. Front of the tongue, the first thing I'm getting is bread. Like it reminds me of like pumpernickel bread. Definitely getting that dark toasty character out of it. So it's not tasting light like a croissant or a biscuit or a cracker or anything. It's definitely getting a much richer, more earthy bread tone from it. About middle of the tongue to the back, I'm starting to get that raisin flavor that I got on the smell. And come to think of it now, I'm tasting it. It reminds me a lot of, in America we have this, I don't know elsewhere if you do, but we have a raisin toast, which essentially is toast that is baked with raisins, and there's usually like a swirl of cinnamon in it. That's what this tastes like, is liquid raisin toast, which is delicious. It's warming up a little bit. I'm getting much more of that toasty malt character coming forward, coupled with some of the raisin. It isn't just the caramelized fruit that I got initially. I'm getting much more of the malt character in the smell. Nice, subtle, some toffee notes. A little bit of caramel, but much more like toffee is what I'm getting. I'm just probably going on the raisin toast. A little bit of kind of a spicy note that probably is the little bit of hops they use into it. A little bit of bitterness on the back tongue, but the hop presence, anything else is pretty minimal compared to just the malt that you're getting out of this. So the sweetness to me is very nicely balanced with the toasty character of it. Given the fact that there is, to me, such little hop presence in this, that's what I'm getting is some of that kind of bitter astringency that you would get from like toast that's not burnt, obviously, but it's like right at that edge of like dark brown is kind of that bitterness that I'm getting out of it. playing into that sweetness, it makes a very nice, I mean, just yeah, like a perfect harmony of like, I mean, this is liquid bread. That's the best way that I can surmise this. Yeah, it's very tasty. I could definitely see how that would keep you going. You had a couple of those a day. The rest of the mouthfeel, yeah, carbonation's good. It's dissipated a little bit faster than I'd want. I mean, I'm still getting good nucleation on the sides, and still you probably can't see it, but there's still a good bit of bubbles coming up. But man, once it hits your mouth, it goes like. So the finish is still there. Like since my last sip, I'm still tasting it. So a very, very long, lingering finish on that, which I think that probably would be just preferential. But yeah, this is not behaving like a lot of people would think stereotypically of a lager, where it's just very crisp, it's bubbly. There's some of that carbonation, but I mean, I'm telling you, like about a second after it's in your mouth, it's gone. There's nothing, and then you've just got just. I mean, again, I'm kind of like breathing, like I'm breathing out of my mouth. I'm just like tasting it on my breath. So it is here to stay. Not getting any alcohol out of it at 9%. Like it does not smell boozy. That big ass berth of malt bill on it is probably also camouflaging that alcohol very well too. I gun to my head, I could not tell you that this would be a 9% beer at all. Like it could literally be a 2% the way it tastes. It's just liquid bread. So yeah, as it's warming up, I might be getting a little bit of hops in the flavor because I'm getting something new that's bitter. It does not taste like what I just described. It's still very subtle, but I'm tasting it a bit more now that it's warmed up some. So yeah, very tasty beer. I'm not going to say it's a niche style by anything, but it's definitely not a style that you see a lot of brew pubs and smaller breweries deciding like we're going to do a Doppelbock. So very nice to see that you can get such a storied style with such a cool history, so tantamount in one part of the world, and that they're making it here. And other Doppelbocks I've had, it's really, really good. I've been a big fan of years of Eyinger, and Bell's Brewery in Michigan actually makes a pretty good Doppelbock too. And I like this better than that. Um, Speaking off the cuff. Yeah, but in terms of why I would drink this beer, I mean, it is definitely not what I would say is a hot weather beer, because it is staying with you and it's banging a tambourine in your ear as you're drinking it. It's refreshing, and the fact that it be kitschy. It feels like nourishing, like it's tasty in that regard. But yeah, long mouth feel. I would not be wanting this in hot weather. Definitely, I'd say much more of a cold weather style. Which, given the fact that this was made by monks in monasteries in Bavaria, not surprising. I would say pairing it with traditional German foods. Like I could definitely see having this with some Wiener Schnitzel for sure. Bratwurst. Yeah, I would say like anything with like an almost like a carby kind of astringency to it. So like like meat pies, things like that, with like some sauerkraut. I could see that. Could definitely be interested in seeing if I could cook with this. Like, as I would almost see if this would be like a base for like a good chili, maybe like deglazing the bottom of a pan. I could see you doing that with this. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, um, I liked it. I'd say the only thing that was kind of, I'm not saying it was really off-putting, but I guess I didn't expect was just how lingering the finish is on it. Like, and I don't know if that's per se to this particular beer, the style. I don't remember other Doppelbocks I've had. drinking a lager. Like this is going to hit you, and it's going to stay with you. So this might actually be maybe an end of the night beer, possibly, that you want to drink after you've had other things. So, but yeah, another good one from Piedmont Brewing. Cheers to y'all for, again, cranking out a pretty cool style of beer that tastes delicious. And that'll be it, everyone. So, as usual, until next time, keep your mind sharp, your heart clean, and your upper lip bitter. We'll see you then.